Finding the right tools to help you accomplish your goals with search engine optimization or SEO can be tricky. Yes, in a lot of ways, the best tools for helping you be found in search should be pretty searchable, right? That's true for the most part, but those tools also tend to be the ones that are the most expensive and have the most money. So it's not always clear which tools to be using, especially if you're just getting started with SEO. To help find the best software for SEO, I brought in Erin Ollila, who is an SEO copywriter. I've personally seen Erin work with many different businesses over the last few years, and every time I talk to Erin about SEO, I've always learned something new. In this conversation with Erin, we talked specifically about which SEO tools she's using these days and how she recommends others approach them, as they're very dependent on what you're trying to accomplish with them. We don't get to all the different SEO tools out there, but we talked about the main ones, you could say. For ones that we don't talk about, I'm constantly adding tools that I recommend over on the station website. You can check that out via the link in the description. Let's start with a tool that myself and Erin don't believe anyone can pronounce correctly, and that is Ahrefs. Now, this tool that we can't pronounce is an industry standard in SEO. It's not the cheapest SEO tool out there necessarily, but is very robust. Here is Erin's rundown of Ahrefs.
I think it is a very dynamic tool, both on their free plan and their paid plan. Where I use it for my business is I like to do the technical audit that they do weekly, which is on the free plan. You do not need to join in order to have that. And I'm constantly amazed at the things that I do wrong or the things that I forget to do. Even though I've been in SEO for a long time, even though I assume I follow my own best practices, when I get my report every Sunday, it'll say X number of pages without meta descriptions, or these pages have really heavy images that are not ideal for websites. And I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't do that. So it's always been a really good double check for me. Using it on a paid plan, I think, is very good for marketers, or if you're going really heavy on SEO projects. Usually because you can check more than one site at a time, and it does a great job of maintaining that audit log for the different sites. But I like them best, the company that shall not be named best, because of those technical errors that I find, or just different ways to do some of the non-content SEO. When Google did Helpful Content Update, they really wanted to prioritize the user experience. So if your site's taking too long to load, if your images just don't load on the page and you get that little X in the corner of the image, if you care about accessibility and something as small as your design choices, let's say not have high enough contrast, they don't care how well you have prioritized content. They don't care if you're paying the best copywriter to write for you. They're not going to prioritize your site in search. So having an SEO tool that can really tell you where these errors are, like I said, I'm an SEO and I make mistakes on my own site. It's really a great option for any business to be able to make sure that the effort they're putting in is actually going to give them ROI.
Now, Erin mentioned a free plan in Ahrefs here, and if you just clicked over into Ahrefs and then to pricing, you won't see a free plan. You'll just see some plans that are pretty expensive for an individual person. You're not missing it. These free tools in Ahrefs are just a little hidden. They are in the footer of their website. So if we just scroll down here, you'll see free SEO tools, and there's a whole suite of them. There's a lot of them here, so feel free to just play around with them. I'll put a link to the free weekly report and audit tool that Erin explained a little more in depth in the description. Once you've signed up for the Webmaster Tools, you'll be led here and you can see the joinstation.co website that I have. The cool part is that you can have also multiple websites here and import them all at the same time, as long as they're under the same Google Search Console account. More on Google Search Console later. You can also get a good feel for Ahrefs here, as you're actually in the tool itself, but you just don't have access to the paid parts of it under this free plan. There's a lot here that we can unpack, but let's move on to one of the most similar tools that Ahrefs, SEMrush. On the surface, these tools look super similar, and that's because they are. There's a lot of personal preference in comparing these tools, but Erin prefers SEMrush over Ahrefs for one particular task: keyword research. Erin, why do you prefer SEMrush over Ahrefs for keyword research.
I actually prefer SEMrush for keyword research to Ahrefs, or however the heck you call that company. And it's not that the first tool can't do it. It can. It has great keyword capabilities, but I find that what I like about SEMrush for keyword research is it's very dynamic in its suggested keywords. So if you were to type in something about clothing, for example, if you're a clothing company and you type in something like sizing charts or how to determine your waist size for your clients who may be searching that and you want to bring them back to your content, it will give you options. It'll say, here are some questions that are asked about this. Here are different ways to phrase that. And I think it works better and it performs a little better for me, at least, to give me options to really build on the context and the entire article I'd be writing or the entire copy for the page.
Let's show what keyword research looks like in SEMrush. Now, here I am, and I've only signed up for the free tools. I didn't sign up for the free trial of the paid plans here. What I do like about SEMrush for keyword research is that they explain the terms here right below where you're going to enter a keyword you're researching. It makes all the data a bit more digestible and better for beginners. Once you have searched for a term, I'll search for the term business model canvas, and then you'll see the results from SEMrush pretty quickly. Obviously, you can see the normal data of volume and keyword difficulty here, but if you scroll down a bit, it does give you some nice variations, questions, and a strategy to think about here. That's super helpful, especially if you're just getting started. Let's move on to a tool we've hinted at and is a completely free tool, Google Search Console. Here's Erin's take on Google Search Console.
Search Console is one of the smartest places for business people to spend their time because in comparison to these other SEO tools that we've mentioned, that's where you can go in and research and you can start to build a picture of what your ideal users are searching for. However, in Search Console, they're telling you what your audience is finding on your site. So for my site, for example, even though I do copywriting coaching, which means like a business or a different copywriter can come to me for help with the editing or an audit or a strategy of the work that they're doing on their own. Now, it's not the most highest percentage of business that I do, but it is one of the highest search terms into my business. And it's the various different ways to say it. Copy coach, copywriting coach, copy coaching. And why I'm bringing this up is we can make decisions as business owners as to what needs to be adjusted in our copy and our content and our messaging based on what we're seeing people are coming in. And if you don't want people to come in for something else, for example, if I didn't want copy coaching anymore because I found it was like too strenuous or took up too much time, I could start making decisions on my own website to prioritize other content and other pages, or potentially even deprioritize the copy and content that's already performing well. So I think it gives you a really good glimpse on what the current landscape looks like. And the other tools, even if they have that audit thing that I've built in that I've mentioned, like the tech tools, they're not doing that as well. I think Google Search Console is really saying, here's what's happening, and here's where you're performing well. I will also say, one thing I really like is to look at the difference between the impressions and the clicks. An impression means that someone has seen your site or that specific page on a search listing. So they've searched something, they've gotten to the SERP, which is the search engine results page, and your site has been listed for them. It doesn't mean that they're really reading your meta description or the title of your page, but it has just been visually shown to them. A click means someone has read it and thought to themselves, okay, I'm going to go over. This looks like ideal content for me. This looks like a website or a company that could serve the need that I have. And I think that if you have a very high impression, which means the search engines are saying the content is good or the content is helpful, but you have a low click rate, that's a key sign to me that the title or the meta description of your page is not really informing the audience of the promise that you're giving them. Like, it's not enticing them to click over. It is not showcasing what they can expect to find when they get on your page. So that's one of the easiest fixes, is just to work on your meta descriptions or your titles so that you can encourage people to click. Also, if you have a high click rate and a very high bounce rate, That means people are excited to come to your website, but your promise that you've made to them via the title or the meta description is falling flat. And that could be one of the worst things you do, is to not follow through on that promise with the searcher.
Erin mentioned a lot here about Google Search Console, so let's unpack that a bit. As Erin mentioned, Google Search Console is the result and is telling you what's happening. So if we compare to Ahrefs and SEMrush, Google Search Console is telling you the results of your work with either Ahrefs and or SEMrush. Ahrefs and SEMrush are the homework, and Google Search Console is the report card. Erin also mentioned impressions and clicks in Google Search Console, so let me just show you what that looks like in the tool. Here I am in the Google Search Console for my own website, joinstation.co, and I haven't spent a ton of time working on SEO for this website, so disregard the success of search here. You can see I have over 1,200 impressions and about 20 clicks in the past 90 days. If I scroll down, I can see what keywords were the ones that got clicks and impressions. You can also see the click-through rate, or CTR, and position of your content for that particular keyword. Again, this is the report card of what your SEO efforts have been. It's completely free, and it's coming straight from the source for where you're trying to drive traffic from to your website. So those are the three main industry standard tools I would say for SEO keyword research. Let's dive into some other tools that are still common, but personally were not as obvious to me when I got first started with SEO. One of those tools is Keywords Everywhere. Here's Erin's take.
Keywords Everywhere is perfect for the type of business who is working on the copy of their pages, or again, building out a content calendar and writing case studies and blogs for their business. It's allowing you to get insight on how people are searching. Similar to how I mentioned the other tools, Keywords Everywhere is going to show you what your search is ranking and how well people may receive that. In addition, other ways that you may want to phrase something like that. What I like about Keywords Everywhere is that you're technically purchasing tokens, if you could look at it that way, that you can turn on and off. So if you're just searching the web and you don't want to use your search function to give you information about certain keywords, turn it off. It's not gonna run. And then when you are actively sitting down to work on your marketing, you can make sure that it is on and functioning and you're using it to give you the best potential keywords for your business.
As Erin mentioned here, Keywords Everywhere is based on tokens or credits and is a very affordable way of doing keyword research. As we've talked about, you could use the free versions of Ahrefs and SEMrush, but they limit you very quickly. Keywords Everywhere can take you pretty far without a heavy price tag. It's currently $27 for 100,000 credits, and honestly, for anyone starting out, that goes super duper far. I've personally never gotten close to that in the past. The other nice thing about Keywords Everywhere is that it's a Google Chrome plugin, so when you search into Google on a Chrome browser, it shows you the data right inside Google. That part is super nice, especially because you can see what content is ranking for that term right next to it. That's been an underrated feature of Keywords Everywhere, in my opinion. Now, let's say you want something that is like Ahrefs or SEMrush, but is much simpler to understand. However, you don't want just to be keyword research like Keywords Everywhere is. That's where Ubersuggest comes in. Here's Erin to explain Ubersuggest.
Ubersuggest was really built for the uneducated end user, meaning for the non-marketing end user. So you can go in there, and when you log in, you get a screen that gives you like a very quick report on how you're doing, like whether you could rank for new keywords, or whether you have like competitors listed, how you're doing against them, let's say. There's your easy report. Then you can click into the keywords that you're tracking for yourself and also do some keyword research. So it's not complicated to use. And what I think people like about Ubersuggest, being an easy to use platform, is that I don't know if they currently have, but they usually have a lifetime price for their plans. And it is extremely reasonable to pay their lifetime price, especially if you're just using it for one business and you don't need the multi-business plan. So you invest a few $100s and you're able to use this tool regularly. So earlier I mentioned one of the hacks that I have that I'll do with clients, especially if I know they're not going to be using this themselves once we stop working together, is again, they sign up for a plan for a month, they stop. But this way, It's very easy if you are not hiring someone, let's say a contractor, to write copy for you. And you're doing it when you can fit it in your schedule. Maybe the summers you have a little extra time and you decide you're going to go heavy on content then. You have that tool at your hands to use completely on your own. My downside with Ubersuggest, also, the founder does not have the best reputation. I'm not the hugest fan. I think that the way that the overall company treats marketing is very gimmicky and unrealistic. I think it makes it seem as if you just write this one piece of copy, it's going to make your entire business, because you will be flooded with millions of leads to your business, and that's just not true. I think you have to graduate from Ubersuggest. That's the best way I'd look at it. If you're new to this and SEO, it is a great tool to pay for, have access to things, but keep in your mind that it's not giving you everything. It's just something that you're going to really get your feet wet and start to feel comfortable with the technical terms, with how to do some smart searches and how to build out a campaign and maybe what to track. And then you're going to graduate and try a different tool that is more optimized for success.
When Erin described who Ubersuggest is for, that's me. I'm not someone who is prioritizing SEO at the very top of my to-do list, and it's something I get to do throughout the year. As a result, I actually have purchased the lifetime plan for Ubersuggest, and it does work okay. I don't think the keyword research is always super accurate from what I've experienced in the past, but it is a great starter tool and something that is paid for at once and you're done. I like that part of it a lot. I'm with Erin though, the founder and company aren't always great. There's plenty of content about why that is, so if you want to dive into the SEO expert social drama, I guess, just search on Twitter and LinkedIn. I promise you'll find plenty of dialogue. Okay, we've mentioned a lot of tools so far, but general tool or tech we haven't talked about so far is AI. We didn't deep dive into AI in this video because it's constantly changing, but there are some things to be keeping in mind. Here's Erin on AI generally for SEO.
I am a pro and con AI user. I think that it has really good opportunities for people, and I think that as a tool where you're using it as an assistant, it's awesome. Where I think it goes wrong is if you use it as a strategist, because we have to remember it is artificial intelligence. So it's going to use the information that it's been trained on to give you the best feedback. Where I think keyword tools should not be trusted completely for AI is that they're building an SEO strategy for you, because it will be able to search and give you great feedback on keywords to use. If you say, here's the type of business that I have, like what would be a great list of keywords to attract new customers or to engage current clients who are curious about X topic. I think it's great to do that. Like it's going to feed you things that you may not have thought about as an individual creator, but you still need to take those keywords that it's giving you and run it through a tool, whether it's a paid tool or a free tool, to confirm whether they're actually good keywords or not. So I would still say the best way to use the tool is as that inspiration starter. But the other thing I think is really interesting to think about, especially when we're looking at tools with AI already built into them, is they can give you great feedback on how people are searching and what intent they might have. Where I feel badly for smaller businesses or newer startups that don't have the funds to hire a strategist to do it for them, is that what they do is they sit down and they use their best guesses as to what they think their audience is searching for them. And that's not how it works. We have to ask our audiences for information in order to actually find out what they need or care about. I know that budget-wise, we can't expect every business to do voice of customer research and have a messaging consultant and a branding consultant and an SEO strategist and a copywriter. It gets overwhelming and expensive. But these tools that we're using in small ways, anything that has a search option, you mentioned like a video tool as an example, when we input our best guess, because that is all we have about our audience, it will feed us information that our audience is searching for, that our audience has questions about. So when you cannot invest in something like voice of customer research, I think it's really helpful to see what these AI tools have for us, even if their main goal is not like a search engine, right? Excuse me, not going to give you SEO feedback. Like it's not an SEO tool. It's just something where it can spit information out on you. I think it's better to have that than just trust your own thoughts on what your audience may want.
What Erin mentioned here about using AI as an assistant for SEO strategy is something I've actually been doing for YouTube SEO strategy. It's still to be determined whether or not it's working, as I've only been using AI for this last couple months. A year from now, I'll have a much better answer if this resulted in any more success. I'm currently using ChatGPT in the free version of it. I used the paid version of it for a month, but I didn't see a big difference. Maybe a little more creativity, but I think the updates of ChatGPT have evened it out a little bit more. Again, this is all changing very rapidly. Let me show you what it looks like in ChatGPT though. I just give it the prompt of please give me 30 different long tail SEO keyword ideas for the term business model canvas, and then it gives me 30 different ideas. I've then been copying these terms into the keyword research tools that we've mentioned here to see how hard it would be to rank for that particular long tail keyword. Personally, I found that to be very helpful, as just tweaking it slightly or tweaking the overall content slightly might give me a much better chance to rank for a long tail SEO keyword. These small tweaks aren't always obvious, and just having AI as an assistant is really helpful. Let's go a step further though. What if we want AI to write more of the copy of the content that we're crafting?
AI tools do a very good job of tailoring specific copy based on what prior copy that they have, which is the internet at this point, right?
Yeah.
Where I have concerns is that there's no intellectual property checking happening. So why it's so important to check that is, let's say you say, hey, here's the article I'm writing, here's the topic, here's the outline, here are the keywords I think I'd like to use. Can I have a title or meta description or excerpt of what I could use in an email, let's say? If it pulls something from the internet, you want to make sure that title isn't already used elsewhere. I've seen a lot of interesting cases of people who have tried to name courses or lead magnets or some tiny products for their business, only to find out that that name that they've used AI to help them create has been trademarked by a different company, or is already the name of something. Don't trust it for naming conventions, and just make sure when you are using it for things like content creation, you're double checking that you're using it correctly.
Erin's advice here of checking what the AI tool gave you is important. I'm not claiming to be an AI expert, and I don't think Erin is either, but it would be pretty crappy to build a course or a product in general, have AI help you craft it, and then find out there's some legal issues with it. That sucks for everyone involved. Generally, the advice Erin has given and what I've seen from others is to use AI as an assistant, but not as an additional coworker just yet. We covered a lot of tools in this video, and we definitely didn't cover them all. If you're looking for more recommended SEO tools, check out the link in the description. If you'd like to learn more from Erin, well, Erin has a funny little tidbit.
Here's why SEO is so helpful. I have a funny last name. It's Ollila. It's lots of vowels and lots of L's. But yeah, Google and I are such good friends at this point that you can spell my name however you'd like to find yourself to my website, which is erinollila.com. And Google will tell you how to find me because it's, oh, here's the person misspelling Erin's name again. But don't worry, Erin and I are on such good terms at this point because she prioritizes her SEO that I'm going to just direct you to her. Come on over to my site or come check me out at Tuck Copy to Me, which is my copywriting podcast for business owners.
Erin's website and podcast are great resources, so definitely check them out. If you found this video helpful, I would love it if you can give it a like. And if you're looking for more content like this, check out the weekly newsletter in the description of this video.